Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Isabel. I'm a big reader and I wanted to give you guys a little September wrap up. I am outside on my balcony right now. It's super beautiful out today, so I thought why not just film outside. I have this really cute pillow. One side is pumpkin patch, the other side is apple orchard, so I kind of made it a little fall-y out here. I have my shirt on that says witches are people too, which I thought would be good for today's video. The leaves are changing, it's super gorgeous. I'm obsessed. I love fall. I love reading fall books. I love getting cozy and reading fall books, and I have read a lot of themed and spooky books this fall so far, so I wanted to share a couple with you guys. To start out, the first book I read is Words in Deep Blue by Kath Crowley. I really liked this book actually. It was a YA romance about two best friends, two lovers. It's a second chance romance. So the story is about Rachel and Henry. Rachel has a big crush on Henry, and Henry owns a bookstore with his family, and they have a reading letter library that you can write notes to people in, and it can either be strangers or people you know. But Rachel ends up writing a love note to Henry, and he actually never finds it. She ends up moving away and has kind of a really traumatic thing happen to her, so she comes back into town looking to heal and gain some new perspective. They end up finding each other again and falling in love. I just thought this book was really tender and precious, and I always feel that way sometimes with like YA novels, especially like high school romances, because it's just like kind of a coming of age novel, and you kind of feel what the characters are feeling and understand them in a different way. They're both kind of going through their own issues and struggles, but they come together and it's just beautiful. I give this one 4 stars. I really liked the aspect of the letter library because I think each chapter has like a different letter in it. Like this one, for instance, is in the book Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell, and then there's just like a letter in it, and I have so many like annotations on the letters because they're just so tender and cute, and I just loved them, and they added to the story so much. So yeah, 4 stars. The reason I didn't give it like 5 is because it didn't really give me that like extreme like 5-star feeling, and there was like a couple parts of the plot that wasn't like my favorite, with like Henry had another love interest throughout like the whole book. The next book I read on my Kindle, and it's called Fall Into You by Caroline Frank. I found this book because I was like right at the beginning of September, and I was like, I want a fall cozy romance. And this book did deliver on that aspect. It was cozy, it was fall. It was set, I think, in like the beginning of October. They go to a pumpkin patch, they go to a Halloween party, they have Thanksgiving together, so it's very like fall oriented. What didn't hit the mark for me on this book is the romance itself. I didn't think the characters had chemistry. I thought that they were a little bit toxic for each other. A brother's best friend romance, which I do usually like those, but this one just didn't hit the mark for me because the brother was very protective of the sister, and to the point where it's almost like, why are you like this? Like, this is weird because you guys are like full-grown adults in your 30s. Why are you telling your friend not to date your sister? It just like, there's a lot of plot holes with that whole aspect of it. I was pretty harsh in my rating for this one. I actually ended up giving it 2 stars. Looking back on it, I don't know if I would change my rating necessarily, but I would just say like it wasn't the worst book I've ever read. The thing that didn't hit the mark for me is they mentioned a lot of like new age slang, as well as talking about quarantine and COVID, and those are always just my big icks in books, and I don't like them, so that probably bumped off probably a whole star for me. I don't really recommend it, but it was cute fall vibes if you are feeling that. Another disappointing read for me of the next book I read in September is called The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. I DNF'd this book at 40%. I also read it on my Kindle, so I don't have it physically. The reason I was drawn to this book is I usually really like YA fantasy, and I was in the mood for a fantasy. Fall is all about fantasy books. I love a cozy fantasy read. Maybe if I continued to read this book I would have liked it better, but just the writing style of it was just very generic. There wasn't much to it, there wasn't much emotion. It was just very direct. and I don't really like that in books. I like to see characters' emotions. I like them to set the scene. I think the most description that the author gave in this book was about their clothes, which was kind of cool, but it's also like, is that super needed? No. I would describe it as maybe like Bridgerton, but set in like medieval times, and there is like a little bit of magic, but not really. Like, I thought it was a magical book. The reason I was wanting to read this book in the first place and why it was on my TBR was that I saw a TikTok of it. I know, probably shouldn't listen to TikTok, but it was a TikTok. The person was like, I want you to read my favorite novels based on the first line. And I think the first line is something along the lines of, I'm gonna insert it here because I don't remember it, but yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool and interesting, and that's what kind of drew me to the novel, but it was just not hitting the mark for me. It wasn't what I needed in the time. I just ended up DNFing it, which is something I don't do ever. I don't DNF books. I push myself to finish books. Even if I hate them, I finish them, which I'm trying to kind of get out of that habit because one of my best friends, Bailey, bestie, if you hear that, I love you. She's also a reader girly, and she told me that, you know, you only have so many books to read in your lifetime. You might as well read the good ones. And that like really hit me hard, that I'm like, I don't need to push myself so hard to finish a novel, especially if I don't like it. So this was a DNF for me. The next book, this one's a fun one. This one's called My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. I adored this book. First of all, the cover is so cute. I read it on audio, and I just loved this book. It was so whimsical and spooky, and the vampire, the main interest, is so cute. Like, he's just kind of clueless and figuring out life after being in like a vampiric coma, and she is his roommate and trying to help him out. She is an artist, and the whole story, like, their love is very tender. They have a lot of chemistry despite being like obviously from different worlds, and you know, I was just giggling the whole time, like listening to it, just like kicking my legs. I was like, oh my god, this is cute, and it just continues to get cuter throughout the whole book. The ending was super cute. I loved the epilogue. Definitely recommend. I gave this one 4 stars. And then the next book I read, this one was for book club. It's called Happy Medium by Sarah Adler. It's about a goat farmer who has a haunted curse set on him, and a medium woman who is a con artist, and she comes to the farm to help him break the curse. I'm not going to go too much into it because it would be like spoilers, but there is like kind of a magical spooky element in it as well. I personally had a hard time reading this. Just reading it physically was difficult for me. I don't know why. I don't know what it was about it, but it felt like words on a page. It didn't like fly by for me. Like, I would sit down and read a chapter and just like put it down because I was just like, you know. I liked how the story progressed. I liked the end of the novel, and I ended up actually like doing an audiobook as well on it, and I will talk to my book club members more about it, which I'm excited to see their thoughts on it as well. I don't like think it was, you know, a bad book necessarily. It's just wasn't keeping my attention. It wasn't captivating me. There was like some emotion and different characteristics in both the characters, that they were getting through some things, but it wasn't emotional enough for me. I didn't see a lot of chemistry between the two characters, and I think maybe her being like a con artist kind of threw me too. But the ending was cool. I liked the character progression, so I give this one 3 stars. The last book I read in September is Once You're Mine by Morgan Bridges. This is a dark stalker romance, and it's about this woman named Callista and a man named Hayden. Hayden is a lawyer who actually murders Callista's father for being a dirty politician. He killed someone else, so Hayden ends up killing him, and that's how they're kind of drawn to each other, and Hayden ends up stalking Callista. I hate to say this because it's like, I knew going into this book, I wasn't like, wow, this is going to be a life-changing novel. This is going to be amazing. I just kind of wanted like a quick little dark romance read. And, you know, I succeeded with that. I got what I wanted out of it, but I do give it like 2.5 stars. I didn't love the way it was written. A lot of the like lines were just really cringy, and it was like, succeed in giving me the spooky vibes, giving me the romance, a dark romance, kind of mafia romance. I love a good dark mafia romance, so I recommend it for that. But it is on Kindle Unlimited. I ended up reading it on Kindle Unlimited, and Kindle Unlimited is the place to go for dark romances. But you know, it didn't really hit my marks. It wasn't well written. The story was strange. That's the end of this video, you guys. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. Leave below in the comments what you guys are reading this fall, or if you liked any books. I love to get recommendations. I love to start conversations with you guys. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and happy fall. Bye.